Hello and welcome back to my channel, Craft Time by Casey. I am Casey, and today these are the earrings that I will be making. Most of the components came from the bargain bead box for the month of December 2022. And if you are interested in checking out the bargain bead box, I will have all the information in the description box below. And if you check it out, I encourage you to use my code. That code is Casey2. And remember, I spell my name just a little unique. That's Kasi2. So if you are curious to see how these earrings came about, then stay tuned. All right, so let's get right into it. I'm going to start off with the tools that I will be using. I have 2 sets of chain nose pliers. I have 1 set of cutters and 1 set of round nose pliers. And I want to briefly mention my tool set. It is called the Casual Comfort tool set, and I highly recommend it. It is very high quality, very well made. It just feels like a very sturdy set of tools. One big thing for me is that it has adult size grips, and a lot of times in the stores, for whatever reason, the tools will be a little bit smaller, and I know that they certainly work for some people, but for me, when I found these tools, I truly just can't imagine going back and using anything but these tools. So I will have this tool set linked down below, along with everything else I use in this video that did not come from the bead box. All right, so for each pair of earrings, I am going to have 1 earring that is already done, and then we will be making the other earring together. So here is the first earring. So we will be making the component first and then attaching it to the ear wire. So for my own stash, I will be using this 5-pointed bead cap, 4mm pearls, and these spacer beads right here. And I will also link down below the opening video for the bargain bead box for December 2022, and there will be a detailed description for every bead that came from the bead box. So I start with a ball end pin, bead cap facing up, barrel bead, bead cap facing down, 4mm pearl, and spacer bead. So just like that. Now here is how I make my loops. I go in with my round nose pliers just above that top bead, and I'm gonna bend it just like that. Bend it back with my fingers. Go in with my cutters, and I'm gonna go in right about there. And then before I close that loop, I'm gonna go ahead and put on the ear wire, and I'm gonna go in with the round nose pliers again and close that loop. Just like that. All right, so here is the first pair, on to the next one. So here is the next earring, and everything for this pair came out of the bead box, except for, of course, the ear wire and the pin. So I'm gonna start with a flathead pin and one of these beautiful barrel beads, grooved spacer bead, bead cap facing up, rondelle, bead cap facing down. Here is the order. I'm gonna go in with my round nose pliers, bend back with my fingers, go in with my cutters. And again, before I close that loop, I'm gonna go ahead and put on the ear wire. And then I'm going to go in with my round nose pliers and close that loop. And when I have a bead cap on top, I usually try to tuck that pin when I round it out back into the top of that bead cap, just like that. So here is that second pair, on to the next one. So here is the next one. We're gonna start by making the component in the middle. And as you can see, I have a charm on the end of it. So I'm using an eye pin, and I'm using these bead caps from my own stash. Bead cap facing up, 10mm jasper, spacer, 8mm jasper, bead cap facing down. Just like that. And when I have a loop on the pin, I always try to get my loops facing the same way. So I'm going to line that up on my finger, just like that. And then hold it on the top. And then I'm gonna go in with my round nose pliers, bend it back with my fingers, go in with my cutters, And once again, before I close that loop, I'm going to go ahead and put on my ear wire. And then I'm going to go in with my round nose pliers. And once again, tuck the top of that into the bead cap to close that loop, just like that. So now I'm going to take my 4mm jump ring, open it, and I want to make sure my charm is facing the right way. So I'm going to put it there, and then I'm going to face my, you see which way the ear wire is facing. So I'm going to have my charm facing the other direction. So that way it's facing the correct way. Then I'm going to go in and close that jump ring. All right, there's the third pair. On to the next one. So here's the next one. And I'm using one of these leaf connectors that I had in my own stash. So I'm going to make each component and then connect it. So the one at the top, I'm going to have an eye pin, put on a rondelle, bicone. And again, I want the loops to be facing the same direction. So I'm going to line that up on my finger and then hang on to the beads. Go in just above it with my round nose pliers, bend it back with my fingers, go in with my cutters, and then I'm going to put on my ear wire and then go in with my round nose pliers and close that loop. And then on the bottom side, the side that was already the eye pin, I'm going to open it just slightly, just like that, and then close it back. And then the bottom one, I use a ball pin, put on one of the 8mm Jaspers, just above, bend it back with my fingers, go in with my cutters, and then I'm going to connect it to the bottom end of that charm, go back in with my round nose pliers and close the loop, just like that. And here is this pair. On to the last one. Here is the last earring. For this one, I'm once again using this flower bead cap. I am also using this connector that I have in my stash. So I'm going to start with putting on all of the jump rings. So I have 6 4mm jump rings, and I will show you. Put one, open it. On this connector, I am right now just going to connect it to one of the hearts. They look like hearts to me, but one of the hearts here at the bottom. Close it. Get the next jump ring, and I'm going to connect it to the opposite heart where I just added that one jump ring. So I'm going to connect it right next to it right here, and then close that jump ring. Take the next one, open it. So now I have these 2 jump rings coming off the bottom, and I'm going to connect the 2 jump rings just like that and close that jump ring. So you can see how I have it. It looks a little wonky right now, but I have the 2 jump rings from each one of the hearts and then 1 jump ring connecting it. And I'm going to do the exact same thing to the other side and we'll meet back up. All right, so there we have it. Like I said, I know it looks a little wonky right now, but we have the 2 jump rings on either side connected by 1. So there's actually 3 total on each side. So now we'll make each one of the components and then we'll put it together. So I have a ball end pin, and this pin is not perfectly straight. They never really are, but I want to make it as straight as I can, so I just kind of mess with it a little bit. I'm going to have a bead cap facing up, beautiful barrel bead cap facing down, rondelle, 3mm spacer. So there is the order for this component. I'm going to go in with my round nose pliers just above that spacer bead, bend it back with my fingers, go in with my cutters. Now before I close this loop, I'm going to connect it to that jump ring that's hanging off of the bottom of both of the jump rings. So just like this. Now I'm going to go in and close this loop. So just like that. Now I'm going to make the 2 components along the side. We have a flathead pin, and we're going to put on one of the spacers that came in the box, and a bicone, just like that. So I'm going to go in just above that bicone, bend it back with my fingers, go in with the cutters, and then I'm going to connect it to one of the sides over here, just like that, and close that loop. Just like that, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Just like that. Now we're going to put on the ear wire. So I'm going to go into that loop of the ear wire, open it just a little bit, and I'm going to connect it to the jump ring on the end that is connected to both of the other jump rings. Just like that. And then I'm going to go back in and close that loop. So here is the final pair, and I will set them all up on my display so we can see them better. All right, here they are, and I absolutely love them. Most of these are just super simple to make. I really think the beautiful beads that came in the bargain bead box this month really just kind of give the design to it. They're so beautiful. Let's zoom in on them. I really absolutely love those peach barrel beads. I think they are so nice. And then of course those jasper with the charms on the end. And I usually try to have at least one pair that's slightly more complicated, but I still think those turned out so nice and really not too complicated to make. And then the larger barrel beads, I love that red jasper. And the last one there with those leaf connectors, I just think these are so pretty. So once again, if you are interested in the bargain bead box, I will have that information in the description box below. And if you go check it out, you definitely want to use my code. That code again is KASI2. That's KASI2. And that will give you $2 off your first month subscription or $2 off your first order on their website. So if you like this video and you want to see other videos like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below and give me a like. Leave a comment. I would love to hear your opinion on how these earrings turned out. I love reading my comments. You guys are so kind, and you ask such intelligent questions, and I definitely look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.